The idea of American greatness, of our country as the leader of the free and unfree world, has vanished. I've decided to do something about it. I couldn't stand to see what was happening to our great country. This mess calls for leadership in the worst way. It needs someone with common sense and business acumen, someone who can truly lead America back to what has made us great in the past. We need someone with a proven track record in business who understands greatness, someone who can rally us to the standard of excellence we once epitomized. I started with the issue of illegal immigration and proposed building a major wall that would be very high and completely impervious to the flood of immigrants who we don't want or need here illegally. Suddenly, Americans started to wake up to what was going on with regard to illegal immigration. Despite the large number of candidates who were running for the Republican nomination, what I was saying started to really hit home with people. I started drawing very large crowds so that we had to move our rallies into football stadiums and convention centers. The first national debate drew 24 million viewers, which set a record for cable television. All of a sudden, people who had never cared about the election or never voted before were rushing to our rallies. The rallies became massive. The crowds were unbelievable. The enthusiasm was based on pure love and love of what we were doing. The media, the politicians, and the so-called leaders of our country reacted in horror. But I persevered and went directly to the people because I don't need anyone's financial support, nor do I need anyone's approval as to what to say. I just had to do the right thing. I had to do it. I had no choice. I see what's happening to our country. It's going to hell. I had to do it. I've committed to a truly more powerful military, one prepared and equipped to stand up to any and all of our foes. When we draw a line in the sand, it needs to mean something to all, especially our enemies. I've released a tax plan that gives the middle class and those with lower incomes a chance to keep more of what they earn, while restructuring how the richest Americans will be paying taxes. I've introduced a whole new approach to job creation by encouraging companies to bring more of their jobs in manufacturing back to the United States, home where it belongs, along with the trillions of dollars currently being held in foreign banks overseas. What we need is leadership that can deal with our mess and begin to apply practical solutions to our problems. There's so much untapped greatness in our country. Together, let's make America great again.
talked to them in the past however long, so I don't know specifically who they have talked to and who they haven't at this point.
Sheriff, what floor was the elevator on?
I don't have that information right now. I don't know. He was on the first floor, whoever asked that question over there.
Sheriff?
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any rumors that you've done to this site about the nature of this death or any sort of investigation?
You know,
While Rachel talks about what matters to America, others are talking about why Rachel matters to America. The center of all things.
and
You convince them that you are the best person to carry the flag for them.
we did do a search warrant, yes. And that is also would be normal protocol. Paisley Park is very large. It's hard to say who had control at the time or who could have given us permission to process that scene. So we just thought it would be safer and better for us to get a search warrant on the front end to do that. So yes, we did get a search warrant. The search warrant has not been filed as of yet, and will be filed in the next, probably next week and a half or so.
So the request that you made, what was it for?
To process the scene at Paisley Park, and or process the area at Paisley Park, and I don't have a copy of that search warrant in front of me.
For the
So,
representative from the medical examiner's office, I want to ask you,
Brother?
the procedure you follow, there's different offices do different things. Some offices sometimes release some initial preliminary information that has nothing to do with the toxicology test. For example, that might give you an indication how long he had been dead when they found him.
Ready when you are. Hot voice of God, Mike, please. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the next President of the United States, Mr. Donald J. Trump.
You know, when I left the office, I asked for a couple of things. I said, number one, I spend a fortune in Delaware. Nobody knows that, right? It's a great place. So I said to my people, I had no idea. I said, you know, we do a lot of business in Delaware. That's good because that means taxes and everything. So I said, how many entities do we have registered in Delaware, like companies and this? So I figured they'd say maybe 2 or 3, right? 378. I said, what? So we have 378 entities registered in the state of Delaware, meaning I pay you a lot of money, folks. I don't feel at all guilty, okay? I don't know. They might be off by a couple, but that's about it. They did it. They had about 12 minutes to give me the answer, so it could be a little off. But you know what it is? It's a lot, all right? Good? That's good, all right? All right. So, and it's a great place. I'll tell you, they have great people. And really, they've done corporately an unbelievable job. Hello, folks. Hello, folks. Thank you. Still can't believe 378. Here's the bad news, but we're going to go through this fast. Because you know why? We're going to fix it, okay? We're going to fix it. We're going to fix it fast. Real median household income in Delaware has declined by more than $10,000. Think of it. Since 2000. No good, right? No good? Well, I'm doing my share. Delaware lost 1/3 of its manufacturing jobs since China entered the World Trade Organization in 2001. This region of the state also lost 1/3 of its manufacturing jobs, same period China. Oh, by the way, Lion Ted Cruz supports Chinese currency cheating. Now think of it. He voted against an amendment to try and block currency cheating by China, and Ted Cruz voted against it, and it's the single biggest weapon that China and other countries have against us for just absolutely destroying our businesses. And this guy voted against it. It's almost impossible to vote against it if you love our country. But you know what happened? Somebody got to him and said, listen, we want you to vote against it because some company or some country didn't want it. And this is what we have running for office. No more, folks. We're going to end it, okay? Terrible. I actually had to have that one checked. I said, how can you vote against that? Nobody can vote. He voted. Lion Ted Cruz. Delaware was hit very hard by closures of its auto manufacturing plants, right? Yes. Over the years, including Chrysler and GM plants. Cruz and Kasich support the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which will absolutely kill the auto industry in this country. I'm against it. I've been fighting it. And Kasich voted for NAFTA, which has cleaned our clock for years when he was a congressman. So we can't let that stuff happen, folks. And by the way, Trans-Pacific Partnership is worse than NAFTA. It's going to be worse. We got to stop it. We're going to stop it. We got to stop it, okay? Obama wants it. If Obama wants it, you know it's no good, okay? Oh, man, oh, man. Don't, a couple of more, and then, because I hate to do it. It's like so negative, right? But it doesn't matter. Because if I become president, we're going to turn it around. We're going to make great trade deals. We're going to make great trade deals. We're going to bring our jobs back, and we're going to keep the jobs that we have here. Believe me. Believe me. All right, the number of food stamp recipients in this county has increased sixfold. That's a lot. Since 2000. Wow. 6,000 food stamp recipients. Now you have 36,000. Come on, fellas. We got to get going here. We'll get it changed. Delaware voters are concerned about the possible intake of Syrian refugees. Is that unbelievable? The state has seen large increases in its foreign-born population. We don't even know where the hell they come from. We don't know where they come from, who they are. They're totally undocumented. And you've seen a large intake. With the problems that we have, you've seen a large intake. Do you remember when they said they were going to only take 3,000? Then it was 6,000. And I said it was going to be a lot more. I was saying 200,000. You know what? I'm right, okay? We're taking in tens of thousands of people. And you know what? We all have heart, and we want to take care of that. But we don't know where these people are coming from. Totally, like they have no documents, totally undocumented. We have enough problems in our country. We've got $19 trillion in debt. We've got a border. The southern border is like a piece of Swiss cheese, and we'll talk about it. We will build the wall. Yes, we will build the wall. 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 It will. Oh, we'll build it. We'll build it. Who's going to pay for it? 100%. Okay? By the way, are we having a good time? I mean, you know, we have a great time considering the subject matter is no good, right? But when we say, look at all those hats, make America great again, when we say that, you know, somebody, a reporter, by the way, the world's most dishonest people are back there. Look at all the cameras going. Look at all those cameras. It's unbelievable. They are dishonest. Most of them, not all of them, but most of them. Although last night, Bill O'Reilly said, because, you know, this is a movement, folks. No matter where we go, there's more people pouring in. Look at this place. It's a big place. A lot of people. But Bill O'Reilly on Fox said last night that what's happened with Trump, it's one of the biggest political events that he's ever seen. And in fact, I'll go a step further. He actually said it's the biggest political event that he's seen in his lifetime. That's a big, right? He said the biggest political, and he's a pro, and he's an amazing guy, and tough and smart. Doesn't always treat me great, but that's okay. But I'll tell you, he said it's the biggest political event he's ever seen in his lifetime. So I have to tell you that there's something going on that's incredible. No matter where we go to Alabama, we had 35,000 people. And we won Alabama, and we won Arkansas, we won Kentucky, and we won Florida, and we won South Carolina. And we won New Hampshire, and we won Connecticut, and we won so much. And what did we win 2 days ago with record numbers? New York. Oh. You know what's nice about winning New York, really? And not just the fact that it's big and it's got, you know, we won almost every delegate. We won, and we won by a massive amount. We had 62%. And when you think of it, you got 3 people running. It's almost impossible to break 50, and we got 62%. But what really is. But you know what's nice about winning New York? Those people know me well. I mean, you don't know me as well. You just take all my money with all the taxes, okay? But But I've known Delaware for a long time, and it's a great place. And we're going to get rid of all the bad stuff that we talk about. We're going to get rid of it. But we're going to get rid of it. And we have to do that also at a federal level. You know, you can't allow policy that allows China and Mexico and Japan and Vietnam and India. You can't allow policy that allows these businesses to be ripped out of your state. Like candy from a baby, folks, like candy from a baby. It'll all end, and we'll talk about that. But what's really nice about New York is they know me the best. You know, I grew up in New York, and I've been in New York for a long time, and I've been very public. I've been very well vetted. Everything I've ever done, if I sneeze, it's a big story. But they know me well. And to win by that kind of a margin is, you know, not just the size of New York, but even from another person from another state called me, a friend of mine from another state said, the nicest part, they know you so well in New York, and for you to win by this massive number, a record-setting number, is really a great tribute. And I never thought of it that way. I just wanted to get over 50, right? And we got a lot over 50. So it is. It's a great, and they're great people in New York. And, you know, I went over the state, and I know New York State very well. And you had Syracuse and Rochester and Albany, and lots of other places. Poughkeepsie, we went to Long Island, Bethpage, we went all over. We went all over. And Suffolk County, and it's horrible what's going on. You look at, and same here, same everywhere. And it's interesting because I always ask for these things, you know, this stuff. And I ask for it, and I say, you know, the statisticians, they get it out of the books, they get it out of government books. And I say, give me the information. So I've done many speeches in many places over the last, you know, couple of months. And it's like always the same. The manufacturing jobs are being stolen. Our jobs are being taken. We're losing at every front. There's nothing good. Our country doesn't win anymore. You just look, and it's the same thing, whether it's Delaware or whether it's Syracuse, New York, or whether it's Albany. We had 21,000 people at Albany show up. Incredible people in an arena, a great arena. But we had 21,000 people. We had thousands and thousands of people show up at every stop. And it's always the same. I say, get me the information. And if the information was good, I'd like to read it. I'd much rather read it than read this stuff. But it's always the same. The jobs are being stripped. The factories are closing. And you ride through some of these communities, and you just go from the airport to like a venue like this, and you see all of the closures. You see it. You could see it was a thriving place 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 30 years ago. And now it's just been stripped. It's been stripped. And we're not going to let it happen anymore, folks, okay? We're not going to be the dummies. We're not going to be the dummies. I tell you, it's terrible. It's terrible. I even said, when they gave me the statistics, I said, what do I need them for? All I have to do, I mean, I have a good memory, like a great memory. All I have to do is get up and say, manufacturing down 30%. You know, it's the same thing everywhere. It's the same thing everywhere. I don't even blame, I mean, in some cases you have to say local politics and local politicians, that's important. But the big mega deal is what's happening with our country. Our leadership is terrible. Our leadership is incompetent. We don't know what the hell we're doing. It's right. There really is no leadership. You know, you have a president, he goes to Cuba and he watches a game and there's a big tragedy happens, watches the end of the game. He lands in Cuba. No. He lands in Cuba and there's nobody to greet him. Now, here's the difference. No problem with Cuba, by the way. No problem. And it's time to make a deal. I'd like to see a better deal. But it's fine. But you land in Cuba and nobody's there. Now, in the history of Air Force One, which is pretty long, right? It's probably the first time that plane has ever landed where nobody was there. In other words, there was not the head of the state, Castro, anybody to greet him. Then he goes to Saudi Arabia, same thing happens. The big leaders are not there to greet him at the plane. And you know what I would do? If I said, well, how are we doing? Who's here to greet me? I'm the President of the United States. I'm on Air Force One. Who's here? Well, we don't have anybody to greet you, Mr. President. Now, Obama gets off the plane. Here's what I do. Pilot, boom, go back to Washington. Oh, it's true. Go back to Washington. And I love the Cuban people, and I love the Saudis. Go ahead. Go ahead. What the hell? What? Let's have some fun. It's Friday. Let's have some fun. Let's have some fun. It's Friday. I have all the time in the world. What the? Great people. Great people in this country. We're going to have Apple, and we're going to have companies. You watch. They're going to start making their products in our country, folks. You watch. You watch. Just watch. I know how to fix the system. You know, you have these guys, they talk about free trade. Look what free trade has done to our country. No matter where I go, look at what's happened with free trade. And I'm a free trader. I believe in free trade. But I don't believe in being stupid. I don't believe in these deals. They're so bad. We have to make great deals. We have a lot of time. You know, I told this story a couple of times. He's so honored by it, actually. I wish he didn't hear it. But a friend of mine is dying. He's dying. He's very sick. He's the toughest guy. And he's always been like the toughest guy, successful. He made himself successful. He just grabbed whatever the hell, he just made himself. And he's a good person, but really a tough person. And I've always liked him. And a champ, a winner. And he got sick. He's very sick. And he was supposed to be dead a year ago. And he's just got good genetics or something. The doctors can't, I even speak to the doctors. How's he doing? They say, we can't believe it. He's alive a year longer than he's supposed to be. And I call him like every couple of days. And I say, how you doing? I'm all right. I said, you're all right. And in a way, it reminds me of our country. Because our country has been so abused for so long by incompetent politicians, by horrible deals. By horrible deals. I mean, we have potentially the greatest military in the world, but it's being decimated with cuts and problems. We don't take care of our vets. We lose on every single front. And then we make trade deals where it's hard to believe. Friends of mine say, how could it be possible to make a deal like that? They must be really stupid, Donald. I say, no, they're not stupid. They get major campaign contributions. So they make bad deals because they're paid off with PAC money and campaign contributions. That's what it is. So, you know, I mean, it's sad. But it reminds me of my friend. For this country, it keeps going. The debt keeps getting larger. Now we're up to $19 billion. They signed a horrible budget deal 3 months ago, the omnibus budget, which, by the way, funds the Syrians coming in. It takes care of illegal immigration coming in. It keeps funding Obamacare, which is a disaster, and we're going to repeal it and replace it. We're going to repeal it and replace it. And I tell you, it just reminds me of my friend. You know, it shows you how great our country is, that our country can be abused by politicians that are so corrupt or so incompetent that we continue to go along. But we're sitting on a big, fat bubble. And we better get going fast because it's not going to be pretty. It'll be like no other. And we better get going fast. Okay? We better get going fast. Thank you. And we love our country and we want to see it be good. You know, the thing we all have in common is we love our country, right? We do. It's amazing. My family asked me, Dad, why are you doing this? Dad, where are you going tomorrow? Well, I get up at 5 and I travel to a state far away. And then I go to another state and another one, and then I come home. I should be home by about 1 in the morning. And then I get up at 6 the next day. And my daughter Ivanka said, Dad, why do you do that? And I said, you know what? Very simple. It's very simple. I love this country. This country's been so good to me. Really, I mean, I'd rather not do it. I wish we had somebody that was so good. I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat. I couldn't care less. If we had a great president who was a Democrat, we need a great president. We need a great president because we are really in trouble. But I'd wish, and I told Ivanka, I told my wife, I wish we had a great president. And I'm a Republican, I'm a conservative. You know, they say, he is not, you know Jeb Bush, right? He said, he is not a conservative. Why? You know why? Because I don't want to have free trade if it's stupid trade. And it's stupid trade. Free trade's fine. But we get outsmarted because we don't use our best and we don't use our finest. The other day in New York, you saw when I went, Carl Icahn's there, Steve Roth is there. We have the smartest people in the world on our side, but we don't use them. We use political hacks. We use people with no ability whatsoever to negotiate massive deals, bigger than any business deal you could ever do, because trade is far bigger than any company. Far bigger. The company deals, the biggest company, they're small compared to the trade deals. So we use political hacks to negotiate the biggest deals in the world against China, where they use people that are the smartest and the toughest, high energy. That's when I said, remember the little statement, low energy? I'm not going to talk about it. But they're very high energy. And they come in at waves as negotiators. I made a lot of money with China negotiating against China. You can beat China, believe me. But got to be smart. You got to be sharp. I own a lot of stuff with China. In fact, the largest bank in the world is a tenant of mine from China in one of my buildings in Manhattan. We have a lot of stuff. I sell condos to Chinese. They're great. By the way, the Mexican government, the people, they're great. They're all great. I'm not angry at Mexico for ripping us off, which they're doing big league both at the border and on trade. I'm not angry at China. I'm not angry at Japan. You know, Japan sends cars by the millions, right? You know, we give them practically nothing. It's like a one-way street. You ever hear the words trade imbalance? It's like this. It's like this. Got to end, folks. Got to end. And I'm not angry at Japan. I'm not angry at Vietnam and India, all these countries. You ever call up on your credit card? You want to find out about your credit card. Guess what? You're talking to a person from India. You say, how the hell does that work? I said to the person, where are you from? I was just really not checking on my card. I was actually finding out if this was true. So I called up under the guise I'm checking on my card. I said, where are you from? We are from India. Oh, great. That's wonderful. Thank you very much. That's all I need to, Bob. And India's a great place. And I'm not upset with other leaders. I'm upset with our leaders for being so stupid. So stupid. You know, the middle class that built this country, which I like I'm really into the middle class. These people, you're tired and you're disgusted. You're tired and you're disgusted. But people they're working longer hours. They're working harder. In many cases, they're working a second job, which they never did before. And, you know, it's supposed to be the other way. It's supposed to be you do a good job and you take it easy. They're now working harder, and they make less money than they made 18 years ago, right? Their wages, their real wages, are less than they were 18 years ago. And then people say, Donald, there's a lot of anger at your rallies. And there really aren't. They said, are they angry people? I said, they're not angry people. They're angry at what's happening. But they're not angry. They're actually happy people. They're great people. Remember when I won South Carolina, Nikki Haley, a good woman, she's the governor of South Carolina, but she backed somebody else, who I beat very badly. In fact, the lieutenant governor backed me, and the governor backed somebody else. And I said, I want the lieutenant governor, right? But Nikki Haley made a speech, and it was right after it was a response to the president's speech. She did a nice job, but she talked about basically us, not me, us. And she said, they're angry. And somebody called from the press right after that speech. My lines were going crazy. And they said, are you angry? And I was supposed to say, no, we're not angry. But we are angry. We're angry at what's happening. But I say this always, we're not angry people. We're reasonable people. We're not angry people. We're angry at what's happening. But we're not angry people. We're incredible people. I've seen the people. We're incredible people. Hardworking, incredible people. But we're angry at a system that doesn't allow us to achieve anything. We give all our money away. We have military deals where we protect every country. You know, they always say, we have You know, we spend many times what any other country spends on the military. Many times. I've heard that for years. Many, many times. And you think, you know, we're spending at Dover. Great place. You think we're spending at different places. Where's Dover? Who's here from Dover? Good place. But I'll bet it can use a little uplifting, right? Right? I know. No, we don't spend over here. But you know what we spend on? We spend defending other countries. So everyone says, oh, they're military, great. Well, but we're not spending the money. We're spending so much money defending Germany. A lot of people don't know. You know we defend Germany, right? Nobody knows that. We defend Japan. We defend South Korea. So we're right next to the madman. Got a madman over there. No dummy. Anybody that can take over from his fathers with all those killer generals and killer soldiers, no dummy, folks, no dummy. But I think he's a little bit off. His uncle found that out, right? Didn't his uncle find that out? His uncle was cut up into about 40 pieces because he raised his voice. So look, so we're defending South Korea. Now, South Korea is great. I have buildings in South Korea. South Korea is great. The problem is, it's a behemoth. It's an economic behemoth. When I want a television set, I order thousands of television sets a year for different projects, right? When I want a television set, comes from South Korea. Sony comes from Japan. But from South Korea, you have LG, you have Samsung, you have all these. We don't make televisions anymore. Somebody, this guy, George Will, oh, he's so stupid. Oh, he said, why doesn't somebody say that we do have a television company in this country? Yeah. Guy it's a company that you never heard of, little company, and assembles some parts. And the parts come from South Korea. These people are so bad, the pundits. Remember they used to say, Donald Trump won't run. Don't worry about it. He will not run. And then I ran. They said, whoa, he ran. Oh. Then they said, he will not file Form A. Form A is where you sign your life away. Then I filed Form A. Then they said, oh, this is getting ridiculous. He won't file his financials. What he'll do is he'll take advantage of, you're allowed to push it off forever. So you have 30 days, but you get 45-day extensions as long as you want. So I said, I want to have my financials filed in the 30-day period. And they're the biggest financials ever filed in the history of the federal elections, right? Biggest, but the biggest. Almost 100 pages. And here's what happens. So I tell my accountants from Washington and my lawyers, all these expensive people, I spend a fortune on this stuff. It's ridiculous. It's so complicated. The tax structure. By the way, my taxes, way down, on policy. We put in a lower than anybody else by far for the middle class and for business, incredible. Total simplification. You don't have to use H&R Block anymore. Great for business, great for the middle class, great for everybody. I mean, lower taxes. Lower taxes. We're the highest taxed nation in the world. So anyway, I filed my papers. And these guys, the dishonest ones, the media, it was like a feeding frenzy. No, it was like a feeding for thousands. It was like a feeding frenzy in Washington in front of federal election because they wanted to go and they wanted to say, oh, wait a minute. Look how little this is terrible. Except my company turns out to be much bigger, much stronger. It was a massive, that's why you don't hear anything about it. They would have, in fact, a friend of mine said when I announced I'm running, because I'm a private person, people don't know what I own. And they try and pretend like they do, but they don't. So a friend of mine, very smart, one of the big business people, he goes, Donald, you announced you're running. Now I know you're rich because you have to file. So what happens is I built a company that's phenomenal. I built some of the greatest assets in the world. I borrowed, think of it, I borrowed $1 million not so long ago. I borrowed $1 million, and now it's worth over $10 billion. Some of the great assets of the world, some of the great Doral in Miami, Turnberry in Scotland, office buildings all over the place. Okay. And very little debt, tremendous cash flow. One of the great companies. But here's the story, folks. Here's the story. I don't say that braggingly. I say it because that's the kind of thinking our country needs, at least until we get things straightened out. We need it. We need it. Boy, we need it. We have people that don't have a clue. I mean, a guy like Obama, he never employed one person in his life. Think of it. He never employed a person. I mean, think of it. Radical Islamic terrorism. He refuses to mention the words, right? You see what's happening. He sees Paris. He doesn't want to acknowledge it. He sees what happened with the 14 people killed, many people injured in California. He doesn't want to acknowledge it. He'll never acknowledge it. There's something going on there that's very strange. He'll never, ever acknowledge it. Why can't he say radical Islamic terrorism? Because unless you're going to talk about it, you're not going to solve the damn problem, folks. You're not going to solve it. So this started on June 16th when I came down the escalator with my wife. And I said, wow. I looked down at Trump Tower, and it looked like the Academy Awards. There was so much press. The place was packed with press. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, even here we have a lot. Look at all those cameras going. And by the way, they'll never show the crowd. They never showed the crowd. They never. You know. With Bernie, Hillary they can't talk about because her crowds are so small. I mean, she has 200 people. She has such small. But with Bernie, if he has a big crowd, they always double it. They say, oh, Bernie had 25,000. Let me tell you, he didn't have 25. They said it was 28,000 in New York. There were not 28,000. And they showed big things. With me, they never do it. I was in Alabama. We had 35,000 people or more. And they go, you don't even see it. They keep the cameras on me. And I go home and I say to my wife, did you see that crowd? No. It sounded big, but they never show it. The only thing I like about the phony protesters, and most of them are phony, most of them are just put there, but the only thing I like, as soon as somebody raises their hand, we usually with a very weak voice and they start shouting, the cameras follow them because you see that's a bad thing. And then everyone sees how big the crowds are. Look at this crowd today. I mean on a Friday afternoon. Okay? But with Bernie, and Bernie, by the way, is out, and I'm sort of happy because I really want to run against crooked Hillary, right? Don't we want to run against crooked Hillary? I said it. What about? You know, all the polls say that if it's Donald Trump against crooked Hillary Clinton, it will be, seriously, it will be the greatest turnout of voters in the history of the United States. I believe that. No, I believe it. I mean, think of this. Trump against Clinton. How about this? Lying Ted Cruz. No good. Doesn't work. Doesn't. First of all, she would beat him so badly, he'd lose so many states where he has no chance. Look at what happened to him this weekend. Look at what happened to him just this week. He lost to Kasich. Cruz came in third. And he's so embarrassed. You know, he's so embarrassed. They were asking and he walked away from the cameras. He didn't want to talk about it. He came in third in New York. Now, how is he? I will win New York against Hillary Clinton. I think I'm going to win New York. And I'll win Michigan. And I'll win Pennsylvania. And of course we're going to win Delaware, but we know that, right? And I'll win Florida. You know, we had a huge win in Florida. We won by more than 20 points. Florida was a tremendous win. And I wasn't expected to win Florida. Just to show you the system. You know, the system's all rigged. That's why we have to win big. That's why on Tuesday, everybody has to go out and vote. We have to win big. Because the system is rigged. So the only thing, you know, the fighters have a great expression. When they go in, you got a champ, and he goes into a big territory, but it's unfriendly. You know, it's the home of the other fighter, right? And the good ones, they always say, no, I'm not worried. Because if I knock him out, there's nothing the judges can do, right? Well, what we have to do is knock him out with volume of votes. Now, right now, I have millions more votes than Cruz, millions more votes than Kasich. I have almost 300 more delegates than Cruz, even though it's a crooked system. And he goes around taking them out. They take them out to dinner. They send them to hotels. It's such a crooked system. It's disgusting. But we have 300. And I mean, Kasich, think of this. Kasich is 1 for 38. And he stays. And you know what his answer is? I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. But Cruz said that Kasich should get out because there's no way he can win because he's so far down. In other words, if he won 100% of every state, he loses. There's only one problem. Now there's no path to victory for Cruz, so he should get out. They should both get out. They should. They should both get out. They can't win. And when they get out, we will start on Hillary Clinton like nobody's ever seen before. Nobody. We're going to have an unbelievable time. You know, they said to some of the people in Clinton's camp, you saw this, who does he least want to run against? And the guy said, Trump. Because, man, look what he did. You had 17 senators, governors, very capable people like Ben Carson, who endorsed me and who's an incredible guy and smart and good. And Chris Christie, who's the governor of New Jersey, a great guy. But you have 17. Look what he did to those people, one after another. Boom, 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 boom. Now I'm left with sort of like two guys, hardly two guys. There's no path. I mean, you could say 1.5 maybe. Maybe we should say 1.5. Maybe you could really say 1, a half and a half, okay? And that's what O'Reilly said last night. O'Reilly said, I mean, look, he goes into this thing. He's competing against senators and governors at the highest level of our nation. And one by one, they get knocked off. And this person from Obama's campaign, who I think is now involved with Hillary Clinton, said the person she least wants to run against is Trump. Because you know what? They don't know where he's coming from. I mean, this guy. And it's true. And you know, I tell this all the time, the word unpredictable. We have to be unpredictable, folks. Our military is totally predictable. Obama gets up. We will leave Iraq, and he gives a date. Can you imagine General Douglas MacArthur, General George Patton, hearing that the President of the United States gave an exact date as to when we leave? How about a few months ago, we sent 50 of our finest military people over to Iraq and Syria. And the President has a news conference to announce, we are sending 50 of our finest. Now, what happens? You know what's happening? ISIS is looking for those people like you wouldn't believe, right? Why does he have to talk? Why does he have to say it? First of all, when you say 50 people, these are elite people. When you say 50 people, it's not enough. It's almost like 50 people. It's not enough. But in terms of scaring somebody, But why would he announce this? When you announce it, they now have a target on their back, folks, okay? And they're being looked for. And I know I have friends in the military that say that was so devastating. Some of the people didn't want to go. And these are brave people. These are tough, great soldiers. They didn't want to go. They said, what are you doing? Why are you announcing? Because they want to have some kind of political benefit. But we have to be unpredictable, folks. Now, when he announced an exact date, I said, that's smart. Because he's probably doing a little camouflage, right? It wasn't. So the enemy pulls back. And then we're gone, and boy, did they hit us. ISIS formed. Lots of bad things happened. Hillary wanted to go into Libya, right? Libya has the finest oil. Libya, you know, it's up high, and it's the finest quality oil. Who has the oil right now? ISIS. We don't even blockade them. They're taking out the oil. You know, we're hitting other oil ports, and we're hitting other oil refiners. How long have I been saying take the oil, right? For years, right? For years. And Obama's people would say, well, that's not a plan. It's a great plan. The problem is, ISIS has gotten very rich with the oil and with the dark banking channels. And I know so much about banking. Oh, do I know banking? Oh, I'm the king. I know almost as much as the people in Delaware about banking. Oh, do I know. And believe me, folks, they're making a lot of money off crooked banking. They call it the dark banking circles. And let me tell you, they're making a lot of money. But they're making fortunes of money with the oil. And we don't hit them. And when we do hit them, you know, did you ever hear we send leaflets down? Please leave your truck. We will be bombing your truck shortly. Please leave. Is this? And you know what? when I first heard that, I sort of laughed because I figured they were just kidding. They're not kidding. Then we don't hit the refineries because they don't want to cause environmental pollution. You've heard that too, right? No, so can you imagine these guys like George Patton, that was rough and tough, and if he ever heard that stuff, well, first of all, he'd never be a general today because he's not politically correct. You know, he used to slap his soldiers. If you slapped a soldier, they'd put him in prison for 15 years, all right? He'd walk up to the front line, slap. I mean, this guy was tough. And by the way, the soldiers loved him. It's not like they hated him. They loved him. They died for him. They did die for him. And he'd be right up there with them. Can you imagine if they said, we can't really hurt anybody, we can't do anything, you know, it's ISIS, and we don't want to bomb the oil because we don't want the flume to go up and hurt the atmosphere, okay? I mean, honestly, folks, we don't know what we're doing. During one of the debates, when they asked Lion Ted about waterboarding, right? They asked him about waterboarding, and he didn't want to talk about it. You know, and I understand that, because it's a tough question. For me, not so tough. So they asked him about waterboarding, and he, you know, did you ever see him when he gets something that he's uncomfortable with, he starts to stumble like a fool. He starts to stumble. Well, that's what happened. Take a look at his answer on waterboarding. So he didn't give an answer. Then they took the camera, and by the way, on the debates, I was center stage for every single debate. Every single debate. I didn't know if I could debate. I never debated before professionally. And I heard Cruz was a good debater in college or something. But, you know, he was never interrupted in college. I would interrupt him, and all of a sudden he went crazy. He didn't know what to do. But we won all the debates. But think of it. All of these things that would happen, and all of these things that happen to us as a nation, it's making us look foolish. It's making us look stupid. And it's going to change. If I get elected, it's going to change. It's going to change fast. Now, let me just tell you. We are going to make great trade deals. You heard about Carrier, you heard about Ford, you heard about Nabisco. Nabisco left Chicago. They're building a plant in Mexico. Carrier, making air conditioners. I'm never buying Carrier again. I buy a lot of them. Good air conditioners, good company. They announced they're laying off 1,400 people. They're moving to Mexico. And it was a vicious announcement. Did anybody see it? It's like you know, they have a guy like an upper mid-level management guy that we are moving to Mexico. Everybody will be fired, essentially. Nasty, a little nasty, too nasty. You got to do it at least. So they're moving to Mexico. Ford building $2.5 billion plant from 2 years ago. Now they're doubling up. They're going to build much more. Because when they do it, nobody even goes to talk to them. And nobody tells them of consequences. See, they have no consequences. Nobody. So here's Trump. President Trump, take Ford. Take Carrier. Take any of them. Take any of them. You know, I like to joke because we have fun with it. Where my wife and my daughter, and they say, Ivanka, she says, Dad, please be more presidential. I say, I can't. Right now I have to beat these people. I don't want to be too presidential yet. Don't worry. Hey, being presidential for me is much easier than doing this. And you know what? If I was totally presidential, we have 10,000 people here or something, I'd have about 300 and you'd be falling asleep after 20 minutes, okay? We have to have a little. But honestly, I probably wouldn't be here because I was hit really hard by these 17 people. I was hit really, really hard. And if I didn't hit them back really, really harder, I wouldn't be here. I'd be home watching this whole thing on television. There would be no crowds like this. And it wouldn't be in this arena. It would be in some little conference room in a hotel someplace, right? Right? So I hit hard. So we're going to be very presidential. We're going to have our country respected again, folks, believe me. And you're going to be proud of your president. But more importantly, you're going to be proud of your country. You're going to be really proud of your country. But I would do the following. So we'll use Carrier. And this pertains to hundreds of companies. And I just want to do it myself. I told Melania, I said, you know, it's going to be tough for me because I want to make these calls myself. But the President of the United States should not be calling an air conditioning company, right? But it's so easy for me. It's so natural. I love doing it. I don't take vacations. Other people, they go away for weeks and weeks. I don't like taking vacations. I learned that from my father. My father was a hard worker. He worked hard. And he never took vacations. And I realized, if you love what you do, you don't take vacations. You're happy. He took one vacation, and he came back early. He was going nuts. He said, son, I was going crazy. I just had to get back. That's great. That means you love your life. You love what you're doing. I don't take vacations. So, unlike Obama, where he takes planes, flies them to Hawaii. Think of it. He takes a Boeing 747 and he flies it to Hawaii to play golf. And then he talks about global warming, okay? Talks about global warming. Is that person okay? Is that person okay? Everything good? We love our people, right? We love our people. It's all right? Those are the people we love. Those are real great people, right? Right? Those are the people we love. So he flies a 747 to play golf. They're a long time, like 2 or 3 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks. I mean, he plays more golf than people that play professionally on the PGA Tour. This guy, the number of rounds. So I like golf, but you got to get down to business, folks. We got to get down to business. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to call up Carrier. We're going to tell Carrier, listen, you let go 1,400 people. Ford, Nabisco, it's all the same conversation. User recorder, same conversation. And we tell them, can't do that. You let go of all these great people. Now, you got to see them early, folks, because if you don't see them early, they're going to move, and then it's too late, and it's not so good. But you see them early, or if you see them late, a little different. You go, hey, you're going to move. Here's the deal. The deal is you're going to pay a 35% tax on every air conditioning unit that you send across the now very strong border, right? Every time you make a unit, it's going to cost you a 35% tax. And here's what's going to happen. If it's Lion Ted Cruz or if it's Kasich or if it's Hillary, their lobbyists, their special interests, their donors are going to call them, say, you can't do that to Carrier or Nabisco. You can't do that. These people, they gave you millions of dollars in your campaign. You can't. And they'll say, okay, you're right about that. I can't do that. With me, forget it. I'm self-funding, folks. I'm not taking their money, okay? I'm self-funding. So here's the story. So they're going to try and have people call me. It's all going to work. I wouldn't even take their calls. It doesn't matter because I know what's right and wrong. We're losing our jobs. We're losing our base. We're losing our money. We're getting killed. We're getting killed. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to wait, and within 24 hours, the head of Carrier is going to call the president. Mr. President, we've decided to stay in the United States, okay? Or if they've already moved and they're building their plant, I'd say, enjoy your plant. But every single time a unit crosses our now very powerful and strong border, because our wall will be there and our agents will be there, you're paying a tax. And you know what's going to happen? One of two things. They're either coming back or we're going to make a hell of a lot of money in collecting taxes, folks, okay? One hell of a lot of money. And if you look, our government has been working on this problem for 5 years, stopping companies from leaving. They said, we'll give them incentives. We'll try and lower their taxes a little bit. We're the highest taxed nation in the world by far. They want to give little incentives. Oh, we're going to talk. Number one, they don't even bother talking to them. They just leave. They don't even talk to the government. But even if they did, there's only one thing you can do. And they've been looking at all sorts of formulas. There's only one thing you can do. I'm a free trader. But we have stupid people on our side negotiating. We don't have the right people, okay? I love free trade. It's great. But no good for us because it hasn't worked. Our country is being wiped out. So here's what you do. You just say, you're going to move. That's great. But when you make your product, whatever that product might be, when it comes in, you're going to pay a hell of a tax, okay? And that's the story. And nobody's going to move, folks. It's so simple. It's so simple. They are trying to devise highly sophisticated plans to keep people, corporate inversion. They don't even know what the term means. Corporate inversion. You know, we have companies that have trillions of dollars cumulatively outside of our country. The Republicans and the Democrats agree they want the money brought in. And yet, the government can't make a deal because we don't have a leader in Obama. I would make a deal to have that money brought back within 15 minutes. I'd get the Democrats and the Republicans into the Oval Office. I would have them agreeing because we're leaving that money. And you know what's happening? Because they can't get their money back in, and everybody wants it to come back in, but they can't make a deal, no leader. Because they want that money in, and they can't do it, companies are leaving to get their money. How stupid are we? Okay. So when I started this whole journey, and it is a journey, when I started this journey, I was coming down the escalator with Melania, and I said, let's go. Nothing I wanted to do, believe me. I loved what I was doing. But I must tell you, I love this. I made so many friends. I think I made millions of friends. You know, we have millions of people. The Republicans, you know, the Republican Party was not exactly a hot party, right? We've lost so many of these presidential elections, and we were getting smaller and smaller. And the path is harder than the Democrats. For president, the path is much harder. And I said, you know, the last election, Romney should have won the last election. It was an election that should have been won. We had a failed president, and that's an election that failed president, and that's an election that should have been won. And they didn't do a good job, and they lost the election. And McCain had a tough one because the economy was not doing so great, to put it mildly. And I backed McCain. Lost. I said, this time we're doing it ourselves, okay? We're doing it ourselves. We're going to win. We're going to win. Believe me. And I hear a guy like Kasich say, I do the best against Hillary Clinton. Not one person has hit him yet with a negative ad. When they hit him with a negative ad and tell some of the problems of Ohio and tell some of his history, he will get slaughtered by Hillary Clinton. I've had 55,000 negative ads, and I won Florida in a landslide. I won New York in a landslide, and I'll win them in the general election. Pennsylvania is coming up. Pennsylvania's a biggie, and we're doing great at Pennsylvania. We have a lot of great ones coming. Rhode Island, Maryland. Anybody from Maryland? I was there last night. Same thing. We're going to do great all over because people are tired of being pushed around. People are tired of being led by stupid people. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to start winning again. You know, you have a chance to do something great. But the key is, on Tuesday, you have to get out and vote, right? You got to get out. If you don't get out and vote, they can talk about a movement. A great writer, actually he's on the other side of the planet, but that's okay. He called up and he said, could I ask you a question? How does it feel? I said, how does what feel? What you've done has never been done before in the history of America and in the history of America. And I said to him, what have I done? And in all fairness, it's on the cover of Time magazine. I mean, what we're all doing. I'm a messenger. Folks, honestly, I'm a messenger. I'm not a bad messenger, but I'm a messenger. And what we are doing is incredible. It's never been done before. And this writer is the top guy, like the top of the list. And he said, how does it feel? I said, how does what feel? What you've done is never. I said, what do you mean I haven't won? He said, no, you don't have to win. Even if you don't win, if you get out tomorrow, what you have done will be written about for decades and decades. I said, I disagree. Because unless I win, not only the nomination, but the whole thing, I have wasted a tremendous amount of time, energy, and money. I've wasted a lot. He said, no, you're wrong. I said, I'm right. Because unless I win, we can't make the kind of changes that are so easy to make in order to make America great again. Okay? We can't. So I feel that way. And I probably shouldn't be saying that because, you know, to be honest, if I didn't make it, I'd like them to write nice things, but I mean it. If I don't make it all the way, what good does it do? If I had my choice, I wish I never would have done it. I wish I wouldn't have wasted my time. But they say that, but they're wrong. We got to win. So you got to get out and you have to vote, all right? And you're going to remember this afternoon, and you're going to remember, more importantly, that vote. And you're going to say that was the greatest vote that you've ever cast. Because Because we're going to start winning again. Remember this. We're going to rebuild our military. Our military is in shambles. The guys can tell you from Dover. We're going to rebuild our military. And we're going to make it so big, so strong, so powerful that nobody is going to mess with us, folks. Nobody. They're not going to even talk about it. They're not going to talk about it. And they talk about me with a fast trigger. I'm the one that didn't want to go into Iraq. I said, you go into Iraq, you're going to destabilize the Middle East. I've been right. I've been right on so many things. I wrote a book in the year 2000, 2 years before the World Trade Center came down, and I talked about Osama bin Laden. And some of the announcers, the pundits, they said, no way he talked about. I did. The America we deserve. I talked about Osama. We should have taken him out. And you would have probably had the World Trade Center standing. Instead of what happened, the greatest tragedy in the history of our country. Worse than Pearl Harbor because it was against civilians, right? So we're going to take our military, we're going to make it so strong, so good, and hopefully we'll never have to use it. But nobody's going to play with us. You look at what Russia's doing with nukes. You look at what Russia's doing with their bases. They're building bases all over the place. We're closing everything up. And this is a time, probably almost more than any time in the history of our country, where we need really, really strong, quick, powerful, brilliant military. And we don't have it, but we're going to have it soon. We're going to have it soon. And with the and remember this, with the military, we're going to take care of our veterans. Our veterans are great people, and they're not being treated properly. Our veterans are not being treated properly. And we're going to take care of our veterans, okay? And we're going to get rid of Common Core and bring education local. And we're going to terminate Obamacare and have great health care. We're going to come up with great health care. And there are lots of options, folks. Obamacare is a disaster. And we're going to protect our Second Amendment, folks. It's under siege. And we are going to have a really, really strong border, and we are going to have a wall, and Mexico's going to pay for the wall. And we're going to let people come into our country, and we want people to come into our country, but they're going to come into our country legally, right? Legally. So here's the story. You're going to cast that vote. And in 4 years, and in 10 years, and in 25 years, you're going to remember this day. You're going to remember Tuesday, more importantly, when you cast your vote. And you're going to say, it was the greatest vote. And we're going to start winning again. We're going to win with our military. We're going to knock the hell out of ISIS. Have no choice. Have no choice. We're going to take care of our vets. We're going to take care of education. We're going to take care of health care. We're going to have strong borders. And we are going to make great trade deals. We're going to save Social Security without cuts. We're going to save Medicare. And I'm the only one that says that, by the way. Everyone else that's running, they want to cut the hell out of your Social Security. You've been paying for it for years. We're going to bring the wealth back to our country so that we can afford to have Social Security and Medicare. In Delaware, we're going to start winning again. We're going to win in so many ways. We're going to win. And you're going to remember this time, and you're going to say, that's when America became great again. And you're going to be very proud. You're going to be very proud of your president, but much more importantly, you're going to be so proud. Again, you're going to be so proud of your country. More so than you ever were. And I will tell you, it's Make America Great Again, but I know the people of this country. I have seen so many people at rallies like this and so much even larger. The people are incredible. And you're going to say, Make America Great Again, but truth, I'm adding now, maybe greater than ever before. We have a chance to be greater than ever before. But if we have to go through 4 more years of Obama through Hillary, I don't know that our country can ever be brought back. So I just want to thank you very much. This is an honor. And go out and vote. And we will make America great again. Thank you. I love you all. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, folks.